On the 12th of June, cycling and triathlete Lance Armstrong had formal doping charges brought against him by the United States Anti-Doping Agency, alleging that urine samples taken from Armstrong from 2009 to 2011 were consistent with doping. No, we're not talking about that kind of dope. We're talking about erythropoietin, or EPO, a hormone that controls production of red blood cells in the body. Why would a cyclist need something like EPO, you ask? To put it simply, cycling is a muscle endurance trial, and muscle endurance is directly related to the amount of oxygen that can be transported via the blood to the muscles in use. EPO means more red blood cells, which means more oxygen, which means better endurance. Now, Armstrong's career has been rife with doping controversy. I mean, seriously, the dude has had cancer, now only has one ball, then went on to win the Tour de France like 80,000 times. You bet your ass people are going to be skeptical, especially so when we have circumstantial evidence of doping, like when Armstrong and his management company Capital Sports Entertainment made 2 surreptitious payments to the cycling governing body UCI. Armstrong personally with a check worth $25,000 in 2002, and CSE on behalf of Armstrong in the amount of $100,000 in 2005. And then we have direct evidence of Armstrong's doping past, like the 6 fucking 6 urine samples from the 1999 Tour de France that, when retested in 2005, failed testing criteria so poorly that they would have been otherwise labeled a positive EPO test. What's more, according to Dr. Michael Ashenden, who was directly involved with the retesting process, 2 of the samples showed clearly that synthetic, that means man-made, as in not produced by the fucking human body, EPO was present, meaning either Armstrong had been injecting himself illegally with synthetic EPO as early as 1999, or the laboratory under direct management from UCI, the Cycling Sports World Governing Body, up and decided to spike the samples of Armstrong, even though the individual testers at the laboratory had no way of knowing which sample belonged to which cyclist, because the connection of Armstrong to the samples came from documents obtained directly from UCI, not the laboratory itself, which only had nameless serial numbers on each sample to work off of. Oh, and hey, remember that $100,000 payment made by Armstrong's management company to UCI? The one that was made in 2005? Yeah. That's the same year all this positive test stuff happened, it not being possible in 1999 because of the complete lack of a urine test for EPO. Weird, huh? So why all the ranting? Well, despite all of this evidence, which at the very least could be considered relevant to the, quote, has Lance Armstrong ever doped question, there are people, some of whom can be considered well-educated, that will say little more on this topic than, quote, Lance Armstrong has never tested positive. Yeah, I'm talking real pieces of shit here, like ESPN's resident hack maxima cum laude Rick Riley, and other fuckwads that can't differentiate Armstrong's dope-ridden cycling career from his fantastic work with cancer research and treatment facilities. Like Penn Jillette's maxim about Elvis fans still preaching, Elvis didn't do no drugs, there are people out there that are still clutching to the notion that Lance Armstrong has never doped because he, quote, has never tested positive, which... What? Are you fucking crazy? First of all, yes he has. In 2005, it was proven that Lance Armstrong had an illegal substance, synthetic EPO, in his bloodstream while he was competing in 1999. Sure, Armstrong refutes that positive test, but does simply refuting an actual test make it disappear from existence? I must have missed that memo. And secondly, well, there is no more. He has tested positive. He's had numerous allegations corroborated by different witnesses that were in close proximity to him throughout the years, but Armstrong has been able to ride the wave of celebrity cancer survivor above the allegations and positive tests. But now the USADA is going to thankfully grant him his comeuppance, and hack reporters that don't deserve their jobs will have nowhere to run and no spin to impart on the black ball of lies and covered truths that has become Lance Armstrong's cycling career.